Savage Cat hopes you have a nice day. People living in third world countries, what is something that is a part of your everyday life that people in first world countries would not understand/cope with? I'll start. In my country, the government switches off all electricity for 2 to 3 hours at a time, several times a day, to reduce load on the power systems. As I'm busy typing this, I'm sitting by candlelight in complete darkness. This happens in small cities in India as well, but on a scheduled basis. It's called rostering. I live in Pakistan, and after I found out that other countries don't have this, I started hating Pakistan, and every time my power goes out I yell this country ducking sucks. Realizing that my money, and any more I could make, is worth 5 times less now. Welcome to Lebanon. Visited Lebanon once. Friendly people, fantastic food. It's too bad that politicians screw everything up. Not just in Lebanon, but everywhere. I get you, man. Inflation in Argentina was 42% in July. In other countries they don't even know what inflation means. No, stop printing money. Argentina, haha, money printer go brrrr. Egypt here. Crossing the street is some kind of a sick sport here. I was in Egypt while it was under Mubarak, and I remember trying to contend with traffic in Cairo. I had to ask the police officer who was standing there if the drivers obey the lights or the road markings. He told me that those were there to make the roads look nice. I chickened out from crossing the street and tried to find a metro station to cut through, even if I had to pay the £1 to enter. I studied abroad in Cairo, and by the 3rd month I was playing Frogger on the Nile Corniche without thinking. If my mom saw me cross the street like that, she'd have a heart attack. Here in Peru, especially if you are not from the capital, to get a medical appointment you need to wait 3 months. For surgeries or actual medical treatments it can take over a year. So many people I knew got random appointments just in case something happens. You'd better suffer the hemorrhage that day, or you have to pray for the eucalyptus tea to actually work. Thank goodness I was able to move to the capital some years ago. What happens to most people in medical emergencies? People injured in accidents or who had a heart attack? For those cases there is a cost, which is huge. By law, the hospital will accept the patient, but after the first aid has been given the family has to sign documents where they commit to pay the totality of the cost. This is why many people in provinces in Peru die young. Families can't afford to pay medical treatments. In Lima, the capital, is different. There are enough ICU for those cases and costs of public hospitals are lower. However, you still have to wait 2 to 3 months to get appointments. That system still works bad in any part of the country. Having to stand for hours in bread lines, then for hours at the petrol lines, then for hours at the cooking gas lines, then coming back home to find that they shut off the electricity because there's too much load. I feel you, my fellow Sudanese, lol. Or Egypt. Having a shut ton of deterrence mechanisms around your house. Burglar bars on all the windows, trellis doors on your front door, and then probably one in the bedroom hallway. Keeping your door locked. If you don't have a fence you're just asking people to break in and murder you. South Africa. Broken glass bottles set into the top of the brick/concrete fence surrounding your home. Oh shut, just like Mexico. Just like Brazil. Or every other SA country. Some Brazilian houses look like fortresses, especially in the more middle class neighborhoods. I'm Canadian, and I've visited my South African in-laws twice now. One of the biggest culture shocks for me was having to be locked up so tight. Being able to safely be in an unfenced backyard, or take a walk by myself at nearly any time of day is a luxury I no longer take for granted. Ha. For me it was the opposite. I'm Kenyan and have been living in Germany for a number of years now. The biggest culture shock I had was the fact that I could be out on the streets past 7 PM and not worry about my safety, and I'm a woman. Second biggest culture shock was the lack of fencing around homes in Germany. And third biggest culture shock was how people just obey traffic rules. In Argentina the price of everything raises almost every day. Argentinian here. You just go to the store expecting everything to be 5-10% more than the last time you went. How do you cope with that? Is it possible to put assets into other currencies or otherwise reduce the currency volatility? How do you cope with that? You just don't buy stuff. You buy food and a few things more. For example, my family goes to the supermarket and we buy food for the whole month. It ends up being cheaper than just buying it over time. Armed security people go to the bank. 2 guys holding R15 at the entrance. The beer delivery truck. Guy with a shotgun. Whenever there's money involved there will be guys holding big guns. I've been pointed twice while walking on the wrong side of the street. I visited family in El Salvador about a decade ago now, and it was like this at the time. There were guys with guns guarding things I wouldn't see at home. In the US, there was a man with a shotgun guarding a gas station and Buffet-style restaurant food place. This was along the road and not in town. I also remember there was a guy who watched all the cars at this big grocery store while people went shopping, and my aunt would give him small change as a tip. I saw this when I visited Guatemala. Even the lunch meat truck, Fudd brand, had an armed guard. I wasn't sure if it was really a lunch meat truck or if somebody had the bright idea to transport cash in truck marked Jamin instead of one marked Dinero. I used to wake up to sounds of heavy artillery, now to the sounds of Blue Jays of Toronto. Can't be more grateful. Such dramatic turn of events. That is quite the turnaround. Where did you live? Afghanistan. Welcome to our country, friend. Make yourself at home, because you are. Stray dogs which some of them are hostile, are everywhere. It is not possible to roam in the streets around sunrise when they walk in groups or during night without risking yourself being attacked by dogs. I moved to Europe now, but I'm still unreasonably nervous around leash dogs that people walking. We had a small scare recently with coyotes losing fear of people, and everybody here lost their minds when one sadly attacked a child. I can't even imagine how most here would cope with that becoming a daily. Oh yeah, no, don't bother going out at night. You'll be eaten alive by dogs. I'm American but have worked in 70+ countries over the last 12 years. So let's discuss Nicaragua. There are no addresses. None. Trying to get to your hotel? You'll get a description of the general location using the rising or setting sun, lake shores and other prominent landmarks which may or may not exist. Then the distance from that landmark in a unit of measurement that hasn't been used for centuries. The Vera, which is about 2.5 feet. It's truly amazing that anyone gets anywhere in Nicaragua. I'm Nicaraguan. So, when I went to do my masters in the United States, I could not understand why the address of the house I was living was so short. I asked my roommate, hey, don't you have to put that we live across from the library and say house is white and in a corner? And she was like, if there are no addresses, how do you receive mail and packages or deliveries of any kind? Mainly, we don't. Packages are either picked up at the office of given and central locations, malls, gas stations, always somewhere public and safe. Office buildings use courier system that are expensive, but give you shut where you asked for it. And as for personal, you usually give the neighborhood, barrio, name, the street where it's located, and tell them to call you. Like, we do have address, but you can't Google it. There are important places that are marked, but in the long run, it's more like okay, I'm in the entrance, go 2 blocks, and on the old bank post to take a left and shut like that. One aspect of living in a first world country is that it's normal for things to work. In third world countries, it's the opposite. Technology, roads, institutions. There is a tacit assumption that none of these things work the way they are supposed to, and that's just the way it is. When you live in the third world, your roads are full of potholes, your lights go out every week, if not every day, everything is on the fritz and politicians are incredibly corrupt. And yes, I know that there's corruption in Europe and the US as well, but it's not like our corruption. Example, in the summer of 2016 I took a trip to Germany and I was at the Hamburg train station, waiting for the 6:50 train to Bremen. At 6:45 the train station attendant announced that the 6:50 train was cancelled, but that there was another at 7:05, and that the train company would be happy to exchange everyone's tickets at no cost. There would be, at most, a half-hour delay. People were flipping the duck out. A girl called her parents in tears. A couple threatened to sue or kill or maim the train station attendant. My German isn't great and neither is my irate German. It was like someone had declared WW3 over a half-hour train delay. In my country, on the other hand, there are no half-hour train delays. because there are no trains. Shut, I wish we had trains. I had been living in Morocco and took a trip to Germany. I was waiting for the train and it was listed as arriving at like 7:23. I thought that was hilarious. The idea that it would actually arrive on time to the minute was inconceivable. I honestly didn't believe it was possible. I was so shocked that the train actually pulled in on time to the second that I took a video of the sign and then the clock and then the train pulling in. I showed it to all my friends. No one could believe it was real. When I studied abroad in Germany in college, the ICE train was late by like 5 to 10 minutes. Few were incredibly embarrassed and they gave us all free train ride vouchers. Lol. I now live in Japan. A while back the bullet train left like 34 seconds early once and it was a massive scandal. People were fired, vouchers were given, the company issued a huge apology. I walk with my cell phone hidden in my pants because it's extremely common for you to get robbed. I've been through a violent robbery at a dining, and very few people I know haven't been through similar experiences, multiple times even. I always carry 2 cell phones with me. One is my real cell phone. I hide it in my backpack. If I don't carry the backpack, then in one of my socks. Lol. I carry the other cell phone in my pocket. It is useless. It broke 5 years ago and has no repair. If someone tried to rob me, I would give them the fake cell phone. I learned this trick from a friend. A gang member tried to rob him. He told him to give him his cell phone. So he took out his fake cell phone and threw it as far as he could. The gang member went after the cell phone and my friend used that moment to run. The gang member realized what was happening, but it was too late. My friend managed to get to a store with security guards where they helped him and called the police. 4 mega internet speed is like the fastest internet connection in Venezuela. More than enough to play RuneScape.